Hi everyone and welcome back to the Bodcast. It's episode 77. 77. And I'm here and Ian is also here.
Hello.
Hello. It was a bit sexy. Hello. Like, do it again.
Hello.
No, that's not sexy. Okay, moving
A
on.
up.
A up. Sorry, when have you ever said A up? You're strange.
Just trying to be sexy.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about the Dungeons and Dragons
Yep.
fan vote that we're now... It's a challenge. And I think the challenge is... Did they rename something? There was a contest. They used to be called contests on Lego Ideas.
Right.
And they've changed the name to challenge now.
Okay.
I don't know why they did that, but they did.
Right.
And so they had all these people submit loads of ideas for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, they were trying to gauge interest in the theme. That's what I've read. That it wasn't...
Were they?
Yeah, so they wanted to see if what kind of things people would like to see. So they've picked 5 entries,
Okay.
and now we get to vote on them. But as I understand it, our votes can be completely ignored,
Right.
and the judges can pick whichever one they like.
Okay.
So it says they'll use the fan votes to help them decide.
Okay. But they've also selected the 5 that have gone through to the fan vote.
Yes.
So you'd assume there's nothing in there that they would be completely against making into a set. So it seems slightly weird.
Yeah. Why not just let the fans decide?
Yeah. You know, we've narrowed it down to these 5. They're all acceptable. We could make sets from all of these. Now go vote on them.
Yeah. So I don't really understand what you would expect from a Dungeons and Dragons set, because I'm no expert on Dungeons and Dragons. I've not ever played it. I understand it's a role playing game, isn't it?
Yeah.
You roll some dice.
Yeah.
That's not the roll part.
No.
That's
Different type of role.
different type of role. Yeah. So you have a character, and there's a dungeon master who decides that it tells the story.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you've encountered a goblin. You roll the dice, and if you get 1 to 3 or something, this thing happens. And if you get 4 to 6, this kind of thing happens.
They're not 6-sided dice.
Okay.
They're much bigger.
1 to 24. So that kind of thing. I'm simplifying it somewhat.
Yes.
So that's the kind of thing that happens. And there's like monsters in the dungeons. And then there's obviously dragons, because that's the dragon part.
Yep.
That's my knowledge. Is that the same? And there's also Dungeons and Dragons, like, games? Is that right? Like, computer games.
Yeah.
Which is just the
So
concept, like the Dungeon and Dragon part, as opposed to the role-playing part. There's no rolling.
So there was an interesting. What was I looking at? On Kickstarter, they were trying to make a Dungeons and Dragons VR game, which actually sounded quite interesting, because you'd actually be able to create the non-player characters,
Okay.
and it would actually record your movements and stuff, so you could have them saying stuff. So you would still have a dungeon master who could trigger events.
Right.
So trying to make it take the essence of Dungeons and Dragons, but allow you to do it in a VR world.
Right.
It didn't get enough, but you know, it sounded quite cool.
Okay, so should we have a look at the 5 sets
Okie dokie.
and see if they're what you were expecting?
Okay.
I can't find a way to get to the entire list of sets that these have been narrowed down from, to sort of see if this is a fair representation of what was submitted. But anyway, I'll show you them, because you've not seen them yet.
Yeah.
620 submissions apparently. So that would have been a lot for me to sift through to try and work it out. So they're filled with everything that exemplifies what is most loved in the Dungeons and Dragons community. The Wizards of the Coast and Lego Ideas team had their work cut out for them in finding a handful of epic designs. So the first one is like a book, which I'm guessing is like the Dungeons Masters book, because that's the thing, isn't it?
So Dungeons and Dragons has editions, doesn't it?
Oh, so you can just play pre-scripted ones, or the Dungeon Master?
So the editions give you the rules on what happens if you've got this and these things happen together, and there's a lot of really strict rules to it.
Okay.
And then there's different versions. I can't remember if they're on version 5, but you know, it'll be one of those things that some people romanticize, like version 2.1 and stuff.
These were my favourite set of rules.
Yeah.
I will play no others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got a dragon, a one-eyed monster, a two-headed monster, a guy with on a horse with flaming feet. That's a bit strange.
A chest with teeth.
A chest with teeth. A little glow-in-the-dark blob.
Yeah.
I mean, a variety of monsters.
Yes.
So I think that's trying to be an all-encompassing. This is kind of a selection of D&D type things.
Yeah.
So if you like D&D, I think that this might appeal to you.
Yeah.
Next up, you've got Xanathar, the Beholder. Yeah. So he's I was going to say one-eyed, but I've just spotted he's got eyes on all of his little tentacle things.
Beholder's maybe one of the most famous monsters, I would say. It's the one you kind of think of.
So is that a Dungeons and Dragons specific thing?
Yes. Okay. I mean, it's based on other things. So Dungeons and Dragons, so this is the 50th anniversary.
Right.
But so when it came about, it took a lot of inspiration from Lovecraft. A lot of his works ended up being kind of portrayed in it. You've got Tolkien's in there as well with some of the things based on those. So it has all of these different things coming in. I mean, I think like the original version of it, you even had like mithril armour.
Right.
Until the Tolkien group
said, stop that. That's ours.
That's infringement on our copyright. And so, so they changed it.
To be Mothril armour.
I can't remember what they changed it to.
Mothril.
Yes.
But yeah, he comes with like a whole load of stuff, like a little table. Yeah. There's the book again. So I kind of feel like the book is important. And some other sort of ornaments. Yeah. And a halloumia. Sorry, a candelabra.
Yes.
So again, interesting.
Yeah.
If you like D&D. I don't feel like there's any overlap between I like Lego, so I would like this. It's more you have to like D&D to like these two.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so far both of these have clearly been display sets that a D&D fan might want to have.
Yeah.
You know, they're quite cool.
Oh, hang on. Behold the most well-protected dice storage you can possibly imagine. So I think that's a dice storage box.
Oh, okay.
So it is useful. I thought there was more things to this. Transforming Mimic.
Okay.
So this is a treasure chest that turns into something else.
Yeah.
The well-designed transformation function is a wonderful feature for this iconic monster. This is one treasure chest that you'll be glad transforms. Again, this looks like a place, like a display play type thing.
Yeah.
Look at all their teeth. That's a lot of teeth.
That is a lot of
teeth. There's no eyes. I feel if you've got teeth, you've got to have eyes.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just something I expect.
Depends if it lives in the dark. Maybe it has no need for eyes.
Okay. But again, I think limited application for non-D&D people. Yeah. So Tiamat's Dice Tower. So this is actually a dice roller.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually a useful thing made out of Lego.
Yeah.
And you've got is that one dragon with several heads, or is it several dragons? I'm not sure.
I think it's one dragon with several
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads there.
Yeah.
And I like the wings, the way it's sort of brick-built wings.
Yeah, it makes them very chunky.
Yeah, blocky kind of wings, but the hands are quite nice. But it's useful, so you can roll your dice down here.
Yeah.
Because obviously throwing them, it's a lot of effort.
It is.
Dice towers.
They can go anywhere.
Are the way forward. And they're actually quite fun. Because obviously we're not into D&D, but we do play tabletop games. So we're no noobs to dice rolling. We know all about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, useful.
Yeah.
It's a great hybrid of display and play, as they say.
Yeah.
And then the next one, which is where my vote is going to go, very much seems like someone who doesn't care about Dungeons and Dragons can want this set. Okay. Do you not think this is so much different?
So this is kind of a fantasy scene.
Yeah.
That it doesn't.
But with a beautiful dragon. I mean, look at that dragon.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I feel like I should show it all off at once. It's huge.
Yeah.
So you've got the medieval sort of building, the castle, and then that dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he looks fierce. He's kind of cuddling the keep. And I think this works so much better than the others, personally.
Yes, I would say so.
This has got broader appeal than the other 4. I think the other 4, they all have an element. I'm not sure about the chest one, because once it's not got the teeth, it's kind of just a chest. But this one is quite clearly my winner. You agree?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's just so different.
Yeah. As I say, you don't have to have any interest in Dungeons & Dragons to like this set.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who's going to be voting in this poll. Is it mainly going to be D&D fans who know about it and come along to vote, and so therefore it's confused? Or is it just a general Lego population are going to come along, in which case I think this has a significant advantage.
I think it definitely does, yeah. So, obviously, anyone listening to our podcast is listening probably because they like Lego, so that wouldn't necessarily just be D&D people. So, we've given them the tip-off, go and vote, and this is probably the one they're going to pick. I'm more confident in this design than the others. Yeah. And I just think it's so different to the others. Yeah. It really stands out to me. So this is by Bods. I feel, is that the person who did, the Disney castle, the alternate build of the costume shop? I feel like that's Bods. Okay. But I could be making that up. Oh no, hang on. I was thinking they've written so much more about this, but actually they've got the little bit about them, and then this one's just beautiful. So we can cast our vote. We've got about 2 weeks to vote. Yeah, that's 2 weeks. So the fan vote phase for this promotion is intended to help the judges gauge fan interest in specific designs and validate fan excitement for Dungeons and Dragons. Judges will ultimately choose which model from the fan vote phase will become a Lego Ideas set. So, part of me worries that they've included this to see if actually this is where people want to go, but they don't want to build it.
It's interesting because clearly
it's huge.
So that the last one, it looks like it'd be the most expensive set there by quite some way. And so it's, even if it wins, but there are a low number of votes cast in general, they might go, well, that's too expensive to develop and build. We're not going to get a return on the investment there, so therefore we're not going to do that one. Yeah. Whereas if they get loads of votes and that one wins, they'll go, right, there's enough interest to go and build it.
Yeah, regardless of the number of fan votes obtained, but lots of votes certainly helps. Just a reminder that they can change what it looks like when it actually becomes a thing. But yeah, I think it's just, we're not going to know, are we? Which ones actually wins.
Yeah, so that's interesting, whether they're ever going to actually reveal the results.
Yeah, normally they say this is the winner of the fan. So in previous times I've seen contests, it's like, this one won the fan vote. Yeah. And we're still deciding whether it will become a set. Yes. It's always been that way round, like, not... and we've chosen this other one to be a set.
So does the design of the one that wins get anything?
Oh, good question. I would assume it would be the same stuff, but I don't know.
Well, so if the winner gets something, then they have to announce who the winner is.
Ah, so if they don't, then...
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can go back and find that out. So it says, excitingly, all designs that reach the fan vote phase will be eligible to become an official idea set.
Is that why people thought we might be getting 5 sets?
Oh, maybe. But it quite clearly says which model. It doesn't say which model.
So it says, once the final model is selected by our panel of judges, the fan who submitted the design will have the pleasure of becoming our latest fan designer. So they're saying it's whichever has the model that's selected. So you don't, for winning the vote, you don't necessarily gain anything.
The winning fan will be compensated as a product owner, because the fan vote isn't how you're winning. So then they're never going to tell us which one got the most votes.
So yeah, they may never tell us.
Yeah, interesting. I don't like that kind of thing. So yeah, it's 1% of the net sales, 10 copies of it. Yeah. Credit. And a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons goodies.
Yeah. So fairly standard Lego Ideas kind of thing.
Strange, isn't it?
It is.
So what do you think?
So I saw, quickly Googling this, and I found a Brick Fanatics page, with the headline being Lego Ideas fans aren't happy with the Dungeons and Dragons finalists. Ooh.
Why not?
I don't know. I'll read through it. But the one thing I was going to say is that I saw quite a lot of entries people were talking about where they basically created almost a modular system for Dungeons and Dragons. So you'd have these builds and you'd connect them together, and that would give you your kind of game world.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I don't know if people are upset that they've not got that.
Yeah, or I mean, in the comments, these are all display pieces. I can't play with any of these. I mean, the dice tower, you definitely could. I wish there was a dislike button. Several of these have dice rolling and story functions, which could 100% be used in a D&D game. So
people complaining that they have no idea why things were chosen. I mean, as with most of it, the ones which are chosen are the ones that the judges have gone, that could make a set.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily. So some of the hugely detailed sets will have been discounted on this just won't work kind of thing.
I mean, everyone's sort of saying there's no customization in these sets. That's what D&D is about. It's creating your own stories, creating your own characters, and there is none of that. People are sort of saying, why did we not get the chance to vote to start with, and then you choose from the ones that we've selected? But
I mean, yeah, I don't know how many people complaining is they submitted something or they were hoping for another to win and it hasn't made it through, and so they're upset, But yeah, people can. Someone said, I was hoping for a nice big dragon. I mean,
that last one is definitely the big dragon.
I mean, the Dice Tower one, I depends on the definition of big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with these things, people are always going to get upset.
I mean, people are just sort of saying there were so many better options. And that's the thing, I can't get to them. I hate Lego Ideas for that kind of thing. Trying to find the better options. I think I managed to find like 5. and they didn't seem better than this. But
and it depends on your definition of better.
Yeah.
Lego are looking for something that they can make that would reach the kind of quality of a Lego set. So that means in terms of stability, in terms of build. But they're also looking at something that they can make money off. So they want something where they think they can sell it at a price where they will make money. They were hoping that they'll sell it in volume. And so, they've got all these different criteria that they'll be thinking about. For you to go, well, that one looks better, you might think that means it's the better set. But from Lego's point of view, the one that looks the best isn't necessarily going to be the best.
Yeah. I am not the expert, but I'm finding that it a very one-sided competition. There's only one there that's quite obviously meant to win.
It does in some ways seem that way.
And
but then again, it might be that, people really want a dice tower. That they want something that they could incorporate into their game. The
one comment I've seen says, we don't even like dice towers, and there's no way I'm spending $400 for it.
Fair enough. Is he talking for the entire community? The entire D&D community hate dice towers?
Yeah. I like dice towers. I think they're fun.
Yeah. I don't know if it's different. So it's very rare for us to play a board game that doesn't use a standard 6-sided dice.
Okay.
When you've got a D20, is a dice tower then a bit weird? I don't think it is. You've still got the... Yeah.
Right. So, what it seems like is they created a competition to get fans involved. Fans got involved, and then they upset them all.
Yeah. But it's no different to all of the other Lego Ideas stuff, is it?
No.
When
Lego Ideas is a constant disappointment for everyone.
Every time they announce these are the 2 sets we're picking out of these 50, then, you've annoyed a fair amount of people. Because there will be people whose, obviously, their favourite is in the 48 that weren't picked.
Yeah.
So this is a similar thing. People will have... Because I don't know if they weren't voting at this before, were they? But there's been lots of comments, and so a lot of people have been taking it as sets with lots of comments are going to do well. I've definitely seen people say, go and comment on my set so that the judges notice it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know whether people therefore thought that to get through to the vote, it was almost a popularity contest.
But apparently not.
No. So, as with all these things, like particularly the competitions, not necessarily the general Lego ideas where you submit it and hit 10k, but the competitions, it's not necessarily about producing the best thing. You might want to be producing something that's different to everyone else. You know,
or if that looks easy to make into a set.
If out the 620 sets submissions or something, 615 of them were a dragon.
Yeah.
Then automatically anyone who's not submitted a dragon has an advantage. So, and I think that's what they've gone for. They've gone for display sets that are very, very focused on D&D. They've gone with the dice tower to try and have a bit of you can play with this kind of thing. And then they've got the big model, which is almost generic fantasy rather than D&D. They want to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I think generic fantasy is going to win out because it has a broader appeal. But we could be wrong. We may never know.
There just seem to be so many different types of things.
Yeah.
Because it seems like D&D is vast.
Well, yeah.
Because it's an imagination game.
Yes.
So...
Not just that, as I said, there's so many different influences going into it for different monsters and stuff. They take a lot which have come from, like, vampire folklore. I think you've got, I don't know what they're called, but I'm pretty sure they've got a vampire based on, like, what are they called? The Skullcaps, which is a Scottish vampire their scalp came off and they soaked it in human blood and then put it back on, and that's how they lived. So fun stuff like that. So I'm fairly sure elements of that have made it into D&D. So it's a huge world and so many different monsters. But I think you'll have seen a lot of Eye of the Beholder submissions, a lot of dragon submissions.
Yeah. So, quite a few dice towers.
Yeah. So clearly, people do like dice towers.
Or they're an easy thing to make, or like they make sense to make out of Lego.
Yeah. But I'm assuming most of the people who have submitted ideas are D&D fans. It might not be. Some will just enter a competition because it's a competition.
It's a challenge.
A challenge. But so they will have entered dice towers because they like dice towers?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different things.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So you've managed to find them now, have you?
Slowly, but there's no way I'm sitting through all 620 of them.
You have, haven't you?
No.
Oh, no, it's still loading them.
No, I mean, this one that got through only had 35 comments, so it wasn't based on comments at all.
No.
And to be fair, when build one had like 200 and something comments though. So.
When you're looking at 600 odd entries, they will just look at all of the entries. They won't need to kind of pick and choose which ones to look at, because 600 sounds quite a lot, but from a quick glance they'll be able to discount some. If they can get rid of half just from looking at them, then it's really quite easy for them to go into detail. So at no point would they bother looking at the comments unless they really, like when they're narrowing it down at the end, they might want to look at comments to see what people have said.
Yeah, I really hate this one. Oh, let's not include that. Yeah, so many. So many things.
It's slightly weird that they've not done kind of a almost D&D board.
Yeah.
Where you can move the characters round and turn it more into a board game. I mean, there are definitely D&D style board games like that, where you have...
Well, there was definitely submissions like that as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting they didn't pick one of those to see what the interest in that was. But I don't know.
We just don't know what it is they're trying to gauge, what it is they want to do.
Yeah.
Whether they will even do anything more than this. Or whether this will be the only D&D set we'll ever get.
Yeah. And it might be. They did quite a lot of... They went through a phase of Lego board games, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And didn't they tank really badly? So that could be why they've decided not to pursue one of those options in the final.
So do you think if the Dragon's Keep one gets through, we'd buy it?
Probably. I mean, obviously you've got caveats of how expensive it is, how the model ends up looking, kind of thing. But I think, it looks like a good set. I like it.
Where would you put it in the city?
I'm not sure it would go in the city, but,
You just want it on display somewhere.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so go and vote for the D&D competition as well. And we're going to go vote now, aren't we?
I still haven't sorted out Lego ideas so I can vote.
But we'll vote together.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll push the button together, will we?
Yeah, we will. And we'll be back next week for more podcasty fun.
Podcasty fun.
But leave us a comment below if you've got any thoughts on the D&D chosen sets and, in fact, the process involved on that. Because it does seem to be a controversial one.
Yeah, and we know people who have taken part in it and have submitted ideas. So it'd be interesting to see how they feel about the whole process.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.